Just doing an audio check. Alright, so gonna be working on this. I think where we left off was we were working on the other module when we just finished it. Yep, okay. Just checking. So now what we're gonna try to do is we're gonna continue on here. And the goal is to kind of get here before we switch on to something else. But not all in this tutorial, but that's long-term goal. So this is kind of another basic CSS module, but it's in another. It's in the new one. So there's an old one and there's a new one. So essentially, this will kind of be a little bit of overlap of what's already been covered. So step one says, so in general, there's going to be a lot of overlapping concepts. But we're just going to continue on. As you learned in the last few steps of the cat photo app, there is basic structure needed to start building your web page. Add the doc type HTML tag, and then an HTML element with the lang attribute event. Okay, so we already did that before. Oh, okay, it's here. So we're going to create the HTML element. Alright. Add a head element within the HTML element. So you can add a title element, and the title element should be cafe menu. So basically they're going to guide us to build a cafe menu in this tutorial. So it's going to be a little bit more of an application. is the head element. This is the title element. And we could type anything, but let's just make sure we get it right by copying and pasting it. And that should be it. So it says the code passes. The title element is one of the several elements that provides extra information not visible on the web page, but it is useful for search engines or how the page gets displayed. Inside the head element, that's the meta element with an attribute named charset to the value UTF-8. Tell me the browser how to encode the characters of the page. Notice that the meta elements are self-closing. Alright, so this is the head element. So nesting means it's within another element. So whenever it says an attribute, it's going to look like this. And because it's self-closing, it's going to be like this. So if you remember when something's self-closing or not, for example, what is not self-closing is this. Because you have to open it and you have to close it. But this, it just closes kind of on its own. What did I do? Oh, I'm not awake yet. Yeah. Prepare to create some actual content, add a body element below the head element. Alright, so it's kind of in the head area, it's kind of the meta part of the web page that doesn't really get shown. If you remember, it describes the content, and then the body is the content. So let's create that. So I think that's literally it. It's kind of more step by step. So it's gonna have, you know, it's gonna literally just have each small step. It's time to add some menu content. Add a main element within the existing body element. Okay. So what's an element look like? Like that. It'll eventually contain pricing information about coffee desserts. Alright. Congratulations, your code passes. So it passed the test. I actually want to see if my audio is working, is it? Congratulations, your code passes. Okay, so it is. The test. It is. The name of the cafe is Camper Cafe. Add each one element within your main element. Give it the name of the cafe. It's capitalized letters to make it stand out. Okay, so add an h1 element within the main element. So that's right here. And, we could type it in, but just for accuracy, I'm going to copy it and paste it. Alright, so the code does pass. To let visitors know the cafe was founded in 2020, add a p element below the h1 element. So here's the h1 element, so we're adding a p element. And this is the text. Should be right. And it is. There will be two sections on the menu, one for coffees, one for desserts. Add a section element within the main element, a section element within the main element. Okay, so it's going to be within here. So you have a place to put all the coffees available. Does it say before or after one of these? It doesn't really say where. I'll just assume it's in between here and here. It kind of doesn't tell you. Oh, I put the slash in the wrong place. Right there. Yeah. Create an h2 element within the section element and give it the text coffee. Okay, so this is the coffee side of the coffee website. H2. I'm going to copy this text. My code passes. We're going to try to make this a shorter live, so I'm going to try to go on for about half an hour to maybe 45 minutes. Hello XX. Just doing some CSS. Up until now, you've been limited regarding the presentation and appearance of the content you create. To start taking control, add a style element within the head element. Okay. You've been limited regarding to start taking control, add a style element within the head element. Okay. So style element. I think that's all it's asking to do. It's really step by step. Yeah. In the last tutorial, they kind of assigned you more stuff at once, so. But in this one, they kind of just every single line of code they have you do. But this one's more practical, so. It's going to be kind of like more building something. You can add style to an element by specifying the style element and setting a property for it like this. So this is what you would call the syntax. So this isn't like an actual it's an actual property or an actual value. It's that this is where the property would go, whatever the property is. And this is where the value would go. I'm gonna kind of try to explain what I mean. Oh, actually, I can use the example they gave me. Text align, so this is a property. And this is the value. Oh, hold on. Oh wait, actually, hold on. I think I misunderstood the directions. One moment. Oh, okay. I think I see what it is. Yep. Alright, so, so this is gonna change the style for H1. So this is the heading, so this is gonna impact this code. And that should work. Yeah, it did. Alright, congratulations, your code passes. So now, any H1 element is going to be centered. So on the next part of the code, so 12 in the previous step, you used a type selector to style the H1 element, center the H2 element and P elements by adding a new type selector for each one of the existing style elements. Okay, so in the previous step, use a type selector to style the H1 element, create the H2 and P elements, create the H2 and P elements by adding a new type selector for each one to the existing style. So I think actually a way to do that is I could just do this. But that would create the same effect, but I think what it's asking me to do is type it all. So, I mean, it can be done that way, but that's just not the way it was asking us to do. But now, each two element is going to be centered. Each P element is going to be centered. You have now 3 type selectors with the exact same styling. You can add the same group of styles to many elements by creating a list of selectors. Each selector is separated with commas like this. Yep, so that was literally what I was just doing. There with the commas. Delete the 3 existing type selectors and replace them with one of the selector lists. Yeah, so basically saying, like, you don't need, like, this seems kind of redundant to just say H2 and then the exact same selector and P the exact same selector. Like, why not just have this so that you can, if you want to apply the same style to multiple selectors, you can just do this, and then you don't need this. So congratulations, your code passes. It's interesting the test actually, because I did this in the last tutorial. Not only does it make sure the effect of the effect is correct, but it actually makes sure the code is exactly correct. Because I did this in the last tutorial and it worked. I mean, it didn't work. You have styled 3 elements by writing CSS inside the style tags. This works, but since there will be many more styles, it's best to put all the styles in a separate file and link to it. You have created a separate styles.css file for you and switched the editor to that file. You can change between files within the tabs on the top of the editor. Okay. Yeah, the older version of FreeCodeCamp was kind of buggy. Oh. Yeah, so I mean, the testing is very precise. So I think what they're going to talk about is an external style sheet. So before we were used to putting the style tag. There's kind of multiple ways to put a style tag. One, you can have it in the head of the HTML, but also, and you can also have it make it an attribute. But also you can have a separate file to do it that way. But hold on, where did the tutorial go? Oh, okay, it's here. So you have styled the elements by by rewriting the styles created. Okay. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to copy this. But I can't actually access it, though. Oh, okay. Oh, it's here. Alright. It's actually right here. So this is the code for the external style sheet. And they call it an external style sheet because it's a separate file, so it's external. So if it was in the same file, you would kind of think of it as internal. Oh, to exclude, yeah, because I didn't think so. Alright, hold on. So because it already knows it's CSS, so basically CSS is all about styles, if you want to think of it that way. So you actually don't need to say, you actually don't need the opening and closing style element. So if you're about to, you know, create a, if you're about to add a style to this element, you know, you would say something like that. If you're about to have it within the same element, it would, you know, look something like that. But that's all CSS. So something to kind of remember is CSS and styles go hand in hand. But this test passed. Now that you have the CSS in the styles.css file, go ahead and remove the style element and all its contents. So now this is useless because we just don't need it, because we already have, since we have this, we don't need this. I think though, I don't know if they wanted us to get rid of the entire thing though. Oh, actually, they wanted us to remove the. They actually did want us to remove everything. All right. Yep. So the code passed. Step 16. Now you need the link. You need to link the style CSS file, so the styles will be applied again. Nest a self-closing link element in the head element. Give it a okay. All right, so this is kind of how you connect. So given these are our separate files, you need a way to connect the two. So before, yeah, we have the styles for it, but they're not talking to each other. And the only way they'll talk to each other is if they're connected. So let's try to do that. So nest a self-closing link element in the head element. So now we're in the head element, and we're making the link element. Give it a rel attribute. Make the value a style sheet. And add an href attribute to the file, and that links the file. And it's self-closing, so it means this. So it says, congratulations, your code passed. So step 17 for the styling of the page to look similar on mobile, so that's like a phone, or maybe a tablet, as it does on a desktop or laptop. You need to add a meta element with a special content attribute. Add the following within the head element. Alright, so it just kind of tells you straight up what to say. So we're just going to copy and paste it. So it's within the head element. Alright. The text is centered again, so the link to the CSS file is working. Add another style to the file that changes the background color property to brown. Okay. In the body element, alright. For the body element, let's see. So I think they're saying to create a separate selector. Sometimes it's kind of a matter of finding out what they're asking me to do. Because that would make the... Yep, alright, that is what it was asking me to do. Alright, so the text is centered again, so the link to the CSS file is working. So this right now is the styles.css file. So this is a styles.css file, and this is the index.html file that's being applied to. And it's being linked to this. It's being linked by this. So, if anything, without this, you don't have any of this. Oh, yeah. So you don't have any of this. I'm trying to highlight it. Oh, yeah. Alright. Thought it wasn't letting me leave. That brown background makes it hard to read the text. Change the body element's background color to be burly wood. So they have all these kind of weird colors. So it has some color, but you are still able to read the text. Okay. So we're just going to change this to that color. Just going to copy it exactly. Well, I guess it's like a lighter brown. But there it is. Probably gonna end it in about 5 minutes. The div element is used mainly for design layout purposes, unlike the other content elements you have used so far. Add a div element inside the body element. And okay, so let's just do that first. First part of the direction. Does it say where it should go? And then move all the other... Okay. So I'm gonna kind of assume it's here. So it's saying, I think, put everything in there, including the main. Just want to read this again. Mainly for the design. Yeah, I think that is what it's asking. Yep. Alright. So it says, congratulations, your code passes. Add a div element inside the body element, and then move all the other elements inside the div. Yep. Okay. 21. Goal is now to make the div element not to take up the entire width of the page. The CSS width property is perfect for this. Create a new type selector in the style sheet that gives your div element a width of 300 pixels. Okay. So, let's create the selector for the div element. Same syntax. And we're going to set it to 300 px. That's what it's telling me to do. And that should be it. There you go. Step 22. So now we're talking about, again, documentation. So again, the purpose of documentation is kind of like, let's say you are working on code with someone else. The purpose of documentation is so that that other person can kind of understand what you're doing. So it's kind of like leaving like a sticky note where someone else can see what you meant by what you were doing. So the best thing to do is to have comments in your code to describe what you're doing, so then the code is both understandable to not just the person using the program, but the person looking at the code, so that the code is understandable as well. But this is the syntax for a comment in CSS. So what that means is that anything put in between these characters will not be code, so it will not run like code. Like Abigail. So yeah, we're just finishing up the tutorial. Oh, oops, I didn't do it yet. So I think I'm just gonna copy. Yeah, so I'm just gonna copy this. Oh, comment out the line containing the background color property. Okay. So when we talk about commenting out, what they mean by that is, since anything within this will not work and will be nothing more than a note to the programmer, so it's kind of a way of leaving a note for the programmer without messing up the code at all. So if you comment it out, what they mean by that is, if I put this code in here, this code will now be meaningless. This code will now not work. And it won't work because it's within a comment. Yeah, I don't know. I just keep repeating. So there's that. Now use the existing div selector to set the background color to what we set to Burlywood. Alright, so instead of this being here, we're actually gonna put, oh, I meant to copy it, not cut it. We're gonna put that here. And also, the purpose of commenting out a code is since it's, well, actually, I mean, later on we'll kind of learn this, but it's actually a way of debugging code, which is kind of just troubleshooting code. Because if you can comment something out, then you can make certain code not work on purpose, so that you can kind of see what's wrong with the program itself. So we just submitted the test, and it passed. Oh, I went to the next tutorial. We'll see how far we went. I think I didn't want to go over 40 minutes. Oh, we went over 40 minutes. So let's kind of do a little bit of a see how far we went. So we started right here. So we never even, before today we never even started, so now we're at 23. So we're basically just going to keep going until we finish this and this and then this, and then we're going to, for the first time, kind of build something like an actual program, and I'm going to try to make that available on GitHub, and yeah, that's what it's going to be. This is on freecodecamp.org, and they have all of their tutorials are free. And yeah, I think I'm just gonna end it off.